Welcome to Technology and Education. Today I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford.
And today we are discussing the outlook for new teachers in the United States. Basically, how many are we producing and is it sufficient?
How many want to go into the education field?
Correct. Yes. Well, before we can produce them, they have to want to go in. And there's been a recent study performed by ACT, which is the testing organization that I think we're all familiar with. They have a research unit, and they did a study of the college students, high school students rather, who intend to attend a college in order to become a teacher.
But those are only the people who actually took the ACT exam, correct?
Well, whatever it is, it's what we have to work with.
Well, that's a differentiated participant pool there.
But the main problem
mentioning that little point.
But the main problem is that they discovered that only 5% of the people that they surveyed, the high school students that they surveyed, intend to become teachers or show any sort of desire to become teachers. And interestingly, this is down from several years ago, three years ago, where there were about 7% of graduating high school seniors
from the same survey
that intended to be teachers. Now we obviously are going to have a need for teachers in the public schools, and this is a problem. So the question is, why aren't more students
more high school students
electing to become teachers, to study in college to become teachers?
Well, and to be fair, this is only at the high school level where they haven't even gone off to university yet. They haven't stepped foot on the university yet. They're just taking an initial exam to attempt access into the university realm. So people change. Their initial statement of what my intent is will change and shift over time.
Yeah, and actually the funny part about what you're saying is that of the 5% of the students who say they want to become teachers and enroll in teacher education programs, a fairly large percentage of those drop out of those teacher education programs.
By sophomore year, they usually change.
So it's still the problem is still there. Now, what are the reasons that this is happening? Well,
not to state the obvious.
Well, I think sometimes the obvious has to be stated. One, teaching is a hard job, especially at the kindergarten through 12th grade.
It is an amazingly hard job. Amazingly rewarding, but amazingly difficult job.
And two, it has become a very low prestige job.
I can't fight that statement because it's true.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So
it's unfortunate because the best of the best are leaving teaching. And there have been many studies over the decades. The higher level of IQ that you have, the fewer years that you stay in the classroom environment. And that's not an overarching statement. There are plenty of amazingly intelligent instructors out there. But the higher level of IQ, supposedly, that someone has, the fewer years you will remain in teaching.
I wouldn't disagree with that statement. But
that's not true of everyone. It's not an overarching. If you're smart, then you're getting the heck out. That's not a true statement.
No, okay, here are other problems. Previously, before opportunities opened up for women, there were a limited number of jobs for women that were available. Nurse, secretary, teacher.
You're talking 40, 50 years ago.
Yes, I actually can remember that far back. So that the teachers that you got were very high.
That you got?
Yeah.
Well stated.
Thank you. that were in the education system, thank you, were very highly educated and
amazingly intelligent.
And very intelligent. And the teaching profession itself was held in a much higher esteem, maybe perhaps in part because of that. Now, I'm not saying of course, it's important to note at that time that the administration of the schools and the districts were limited in large part to men occupying the positions of principals, assistant, associate, and superintendent positions.
Well,
but that's
if
that's beside
the statement,
the point.
Then it's also very important to mention that as soon as a female was married and started having children, she also stopped teaching.
Right. Well, the bottom line here is that that's no longer the case. So these students, female students who are very highly educated and very intelligent, now have opportunities to become doctors, lawyers, engineers,
whatever they want.
police officers, fire
CEOs
yes,
of international
all,
companies.
all sorts of things. So that's where so that the general score of these on SAT and ACT scores have been going down for education students, and with that, of course, the prestige of the.
That's not your opinion.
thing.
That's actually the statement.
Yes.
From studies that suggest as much.
So, and another thing that the teachers, potential teachers, are aware of, because just because their scores are somewhat lower on the ACT and the SAT doesn't mean that they're not intelligent. Yeah, they're intelligent. But just not as in previous years where the scores were probably higher. Is that it's very easy to perceive that there is a lack of professional ability to carry out the job the way the teacher sees fit. In other words, that teacher is accountable to various agencies that are watching every step of the way, including prescribing the exact curriculum that the teacher has to teach. So that makes a problem, because the teachers can't feel professional.
You can no longer actually teach.
Right.
You have federal mandates, you have state mandates, now you have all these researchers, teacher education researchers coming in and saying, but you must differentiate instruction. With no training, I get no professional development, nor support, nor even decision-making process.
That's right. Well, and of course, this all comes from...
When I was doing it, it was learning styles. Of course, nobody knew there was research suggesting that that there was no such thing as a learning style. Strong instruction is strong instruction. But when I was teaching, that was you must implement learning styles. Every 15 minutes, you must change your instruction to meet the learning styles.
The teachers
professional development, anyone, please?
Are under pressure from high-stakes standardized testing. So the new teachers perceive, and those even in college perceive, and those in high school get the idea that there's a lot of pressure on the teachers to produce the good results on these high-stakes tests, which means...
On the teachers, not on the students, on the teachers.
Well, I'm actually on both, but...
because the teacher controls how well the student does on an exam.
Which means that there is pressure on the teachers to produce, which means that in many cases, instead of actively teaching, what they are doing is reviewing and drilling the students on the answers, what may be the test. Yes, what may be the answers to the test.
Implementing positive results on an
exam.
So
that is something which is very wearing and tearing on teachers.
But there's nothing wrong with standards, expectations. Within reason, there's nothing wrong with that. And I hear this all the time as well. In the teacher education field, you would do it if you cared about the students, if you cared about the children.
Yes.
What are you talking about? A dumb idea is a dumb idea is a dumb idea. Right. Can we at least have a conversation? But no, if you cared about your students, you would do this.
Let's take another look at this. Many times I will ask sort of facetiously when teachers say they have been asked to differentiate instruction and to make special lesson plans for certain students and so on and so forth. I say, oh, well, that's extra work. How much extra money are you getting for that? And they laugh and they say, no, we're not getting a cent. So extra work is given to the teachers, and the rationale for it, the rationale for it is just exactly what you said. They're guilt-tripped, as we used to say in the 60s. They're told that...
If you were a good instructor, if you cared about the children, you would do this.
Yes, so obviously, if you don't do it, you're not a good instructor, and you don't care about the children. But they won't give you any additional salaries, any additional payments.
And salary is a very good point. Why are people not choosing to go into the education field?
Well, you know what?
If you're going to be treated this poorly, if your perception within society is less than many other fields, explain to me why you would go into this field. Oh, well, it must be because you have an amazing salary.
No, but that's another point.
No.
within the classroom teaching profession, there is no career path. So that at the college level, you start as an assistant professor, and you move up to associate and full professor. At the kindergarten through 12th grade levels, you start as a teacher, and 30 or 40 years later, you end as a teacher, and your salary really has not gone up by very much.
Now, to make a fair statement here, just to offer the other side, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being a very strong classroom teacher. Absolutely nothing wrong with having that as your full career. but the salary is not a compensatory
Right, but
offering.
that's just what
if it was a decent salary and I could pay my bills.
That's just what I'm saying. There is no career path. There is no reward.
Career path's different than
There
salary
is no
base.
well, it's attached to a salary. So there is no upward mobility unless you want to get out of the classroom and go and follow an administrative track, become an assistant principal, a principal, a assistant superintendent, associate superintendent, eventually a district superintendent.
If you wanted to stay in K-12, how many teachers with whom you've spoken, and I know with whom I've spoken, have said, I have to get out. I will not remain in the K-12 system. I can make 3-4 times what I make as a classroom teacher in business and industry as a trainer and not deal with any of the crazy that goes on in K-12.
And this is because teaching in kindergarten to K through 12 is not really a profession. It is
a profession. It's not treated like a profession.
It's just simply a job as far as the state legislatures are concerned, that where you mind these students and you produce high test scores in order to benefit, make the legislators look good, make the administration look good, and make the people feel good. But as far as real instruction is going on, we have less and less of that, and these high school students, I think perceive that, and that's why fewer and fewer of them are going into education. Of those
Richard,
that go into education,
got to stop you as soon as you're finished with this
as
comment.
those
You're
who
driving
go
me crazy.
As those who go into education and become teachers, many drop out within the first 3 years of their career, simply because of those problems. Okay, now what did you want to say?
I know that you're a prior classroom teacher. I'm a prior classroom K-12 teacher too. I am deeply offended that you're stating this is not a profession. Merely because classroom teachers are exhausted and are not the type of people who stand up and will fight for themselves assertively, representing their profession well within the public sector, does not mean that this is not a profession. This is one of the most important callings you can ever have as a profession.
It's a calling, perhaps. It's a job, definitely.
It is a profession.
And a profession is defined by having the ability to control how you behave and how you act and the decisions you make within your day-to-day jobs. That your professional organization controls all of that. That's why lawyers control themselves. They have the bar exam. Doctors of medicine are professionals. They control their own selves through the medical exams that you have to pass, which are created by their organization. They are not run by the state. They're not governed by the state as to what goes on in each and every on a daily basis. They, as individuals, have control of that, and that's really essentially the definition of a profession. But we have to stop here because we're going over time. We'll have another adventure in technology and education today. For Technology and Education Today, I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford. Bye.